Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law, My FM 101.3. This is your show. This is Money in the Law. We're here with your host, Jay Marsden. He's from the Marsden Law Group. I'm John Drohan. I'm also here with Tom Harmon from Holliston Hub, a.k.a. formerly known as HCAT, and it's the brand new year. We're here. We're here, and welcome back to another season. It's another glorious season of Money in the Law, which is the show where we talk about things that have to do with money, like finance and investing and debt management and all that fun stuff that have to do with money. And then we also talk about the law that we all have to live and obey and set our schedules by, because the law is what kind of keeps everything from falling off the rails.
It keeps it from turning into Lord of the Flies. That's what it's. For those of you who read, it's what keeps us from falling into the Lord of the Flies.
Or watch old Nick Nolte movies.
Yep.
Yeah, same
right.
thing.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You can dig into one of those, then yeah.
Yep.
So Happy New Year to both you guys. Yeah, good to see you.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Good to be seen. Good to be seen.
Good to be seen.
Yep.
And of course, the holidays are through, and it was a little bit more challenging holiday this year, as we've had some loss over the holiday season, which is very sad. I'm sure that you guys are, and in particular, I'm talking about Jay's. They had a loss. Jay's wife's Kim's mom passed away, which was really sad. And I was able to go to the funeral to see, to just see what the outcry or the outpouring of love and kind of devotion to a truly remarkable woman. Oh. And it was really something to see, where somebody who probably is not very gregarious, or just she's just your regular person, and what an impact somebody who lives her life just with that kind of intent, and how much of an impact she can have on the people around her.
Yeah, thank you for that. She's super low key, her whole life, super low key. But you're spot on. The outpouring that from just people who showed up to obviously pay their condolences and pay their respects and do all that stuff was tremendous. It was tremendous, and it was a very emotional time for everybody. She will admit this, probably one of our number one fans. Kim's mom. If the show for some reason, let's say, got preempted over the weekend in favor of something else, I would get a text at 11:01.
What's going on?
That would say, "Where's the show?
Why
isn't the show on?" Or if she had something to suggest, if she might have taken issue with something that might have come up with the show, she'd be absolutely number one fan. Be happy to bring that up. But she was always a great cheerleader for, not just for our show, she was a great cheerleader for her family and for her friends, and she was loved by many. And it was a real, again, tough time for time for something like that to happen. But if as far as you want to see somebody who lived their life right, it was absolutely exemplified during all the folks who came out to offer their condolences. And she's a great woman. I'm going to miss her. I tell people all the time, they say, you have a good relationship with your in-laws? I said, you know what? I said, let me tell you what kind of relationship I have with my in-laws. I said, been married 30 years. I said, been with my wife longer than that. Never, not one time. I said, did my in-laws ever roll down the driveway and, roll your eyes and say, I got to get out of the basement and move some boxes around? Never one time. Always thrilled to see them. They were fantastic in-laws, fantastic grandparents, fantastic parents. They were just the best. They are the best. And so we're gonna miss her. It was a tough
It's
loss.
funny, you took that thought right out of my head, because I was thinking about that. I was thinking kind of the classic thing is like, oh, we live down the street from my mother-in-law, from my in-laws, right?
Yeah.
And and people be like, oh, wow, that's
tough
hard.
duty.
It's tough being you, right?
Yep.
When really it's just the opposite. No, you don't understand. Like, they're our friends.
Yeah.
Like they're really good friends. And then as far as like the relationship that they have with your children,
God.
as far as
God.
grandparents, I mean, you can't put a number on that.
No.
About how close they are to your kids and to all their grandchildren. It's like you can't buy that. You can't say, oh, this is how much I'll pay for that, because where your kids probably grew up with them, where they were just always around.
Oh my God, always around. Never missed a game.
Always, right.
Couldn't be more involved in whatever event the kids had going on. You'd be at a game, you'd be in a gym, you'd be on the sidelines, on a field somewhere, and they would be right there, there to show up.
And to the point where your kids are like, oh yeah, they're my grandparents. Yeah, to where it's like part of. It's just daily routine.
It's
like
it's the
water's
natural
wet.
it's the natural order of things,
Exactly.
right? Natural order of
Sky's
things.
blue.
Yep.
My grandparents are at the game. They're coming over for dinner later.
Yep.
We're going over there, and
Yeah.
it's just So that's the in kind of watching that and kind of watching your family during that celebration really for her was it was you could see it. You could see like those grandkids that's my grandmother was all I've ever known is her being in my life. So,
Yeah. It was good. Yeah.
So it's so farewell to a
Thank you.
to a
Sail
great
on.
one. Yeah.
Sail on, Bobby. Sail on.
All right. So other than kind of dealing with that, did you get anything you wanted for Christmas? Did you get anything good?
So, well, I'll ask you. I feel like we're at that point in the game where there's no list being written up, right? I mean,
Well,
the kids
that's
are
not necessarily true.
Well, at your house, I'm sure it's like it's the North Pole over there, but in my house, in Scroogeville,
Yeah.
where we live, right?
Right.
The Grinch over in Grinchville where
Yeah,
I am.
in Grinchtown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kids get what the kids get. There's always it's all about the kids, even at this stage of the game. But like, what am I looking for? I'm not looking for anything.
You know what I was looking for?
What
You
were
know,
you-
I mean,
what were
the
you
one
looking
thing that I didn't get, and again, because of the circumstances, was the thing that I asked for every year for Christmas is my Christmas party. That's all. That's the only. If I get nothing else, I just want to have that party, which unfortunately you weren't able to attend.
Yep.
That's what I want. If I
Yeah.
get nothing else, I get that, and it didn't fail again. However, you were missed. You and of course Kenny Sawyers wasn't there as well.
Yes, yeah,
So
yep.
it was a different party.
Yep.
It was a little bit different, but
That's
I will
good.
say,
Sometimes we like to remind you with our absence
Yep.
of the impact that we actually have on your life.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we're there all the time, I'm not saying we could take it for granted. I'm just saying, sometimes, you just it's nice to step back a little bit and just. It's like a old sales technique.
Yeah.
You want it
Yeah.
until you can't have it.
Until
Or
you
don't
can't
want it
have
until you
it,
can't have
right?
it. Now you really want it.
So right.
That's the idea.
So what do I have to do next year to make sure that I get the lineup that you got to start
Yeah,
earlier?
give us a heads up.
Yeah,
Just give us a heads up. Give us a heads
Maybe
up.
some incentive.
I just was saying to
Right.
Tommy before the show, I'm not sure I'll be up in these latitudes next year. We'll figure it out. I could be down in the little latitudes, but maybe
Well,
I'll
then,
dial in. Maybe I'll dial in. I don't know.
Maybe I have to work around it. Right?
You might have to work
Then
around it.
we have
We'll
to
figure
work
it
around
out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
I mean,
Yep.
you can have as long as it's technically in December, right?
That's right.
December
Yeah.
1st,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
You're not going
Yeah.
down for the month. All right,
won't be
Tommy,
doing
how about
that.
you? Did you have a good Christmas?
I did.
All right. Did you get anything on your list that you wanted? Any golf stuff? I mean, usually golf stuff is usually on your list.
Golf clothes. Yeah.
You got new golf clubs.
Nice.
Clothes.
Oh, clothes. Oh, right. Because you got to look good, right? Yeah, I understand.
He always looked good.
He does. He always looks good, and he always looks like he could play around. Like he always,
At any minute.
Yep.
At any minute.
Yeah,
At any
he's-
minute. A round could break out, and he would just be like, "Oh, hold on, I have
Right.
there's a bag right here.
Everything
hold on
he
one
has
second."
is not going to
Yeah.
affect his backswing.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
everything
right.
he
That's
wears. Yeah, I'm not.
Yep.
Well, you never know. I may have to go hit and drive.
He's got the swing suit on at all times. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yep.
That's all right. So we're back. What's on your mind for the new year? I mean, there's so much, right?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, there's always the beginning of the year, like what didn't you get done last year? Let's check your list of things. For those of you who never got your estate plan done and you kept swearing you were going to get it done, this is a chance to get it done. There's that opportunity. There's just your usual kind of house cleaning, which
Literally, house cleaning.
I've literally taken a little bit more of a step in that direction this year to say, look, you know what? It's a combination of physically purging, and then it's a combination of financial management, because, you start to think about, okay, given everything we just went through, you start to say to yourself, let's make sure my own house is as clean and as in order as I think it should be. So there's those types of things. And then there's just your usual, miscellaneous, issues that come up here and there, and that we try to obviously pump that information out to our dear loyal listeners to say, yeah, you know what, that sounds like something that I'm dealing with. So all the good stuff.
I like the idea, and January is a fun time, right? To kind of do that. January is like when you're kind of coming off the holiday. Like, all right, you know what? I may have indulged a little bit over the past over the past several weeks.
Yes,
I
sir.
may be a little bit. I'm just catching my breath, like stretching out. Like
A salad wouldn't hurt me.
right. A piece of fish wouldn't hurt. Something that doesn't have cheese in it or some form of bread or sausage bread. Yeah, that would probably not do me any harm.
No.
So there's that. But it's the idea of, okay, we're going to, we're starting off the new year. Let's start off the new year on the right foot.
Yes.
Let's get and the idea of, this is usually the best time, I don't know. I know that you're a guy who can work at night. Like you've told me this in the past. That you can sit down at like eat dinner and then at 10:30 sit down and knock something out.
Sure.
Which I respect. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that. It's like, because if I eat dinner, we usually eat later than
Yes, you're
right?
a little later on the clock.
Right.
Yep.
So if I eat dinner and I finish around 9 o'clock, and I expect to start something at 10:30 and then complete it in an hour and a half, I would be better off getting hit in the head with a 2x4 and saying, okay, see if you can drive home. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
No. So I respect that. Me, I'm a morning guy.
Sure.
And I've always been, I'm not saying that I'm like super efficient or whatever, but I've been far more efficient in the morning. So I feel like January is like the morning for me, right?
Yep.
So in the morning I wake up and I'm like, I got some stuff to do today, right? I got to get to
knock this out.
I'm gonna get some stuff done. And usually, if I have something hard to do, better to do that first, right? Better because I can talk myself out of doing something hard, or something that's going to take brain power or time, or
that's a real thing,
or things that I'm uncomfortable with or not familiar with, right?
Yeah.
I'll be like, I gotta call that guy, and I don't really know what to say or do. So I'll kick that one down the road a little bit, and I'll do some of the easy, some of the low-hanging fruit. I'll delete some emails. That's easy to do.
Yep. Oh, look who's on Facebook. Yeah.
So if I'm going to do something that requires some challenge, I'll do that early, right?
Yep.
I'll try and start that early. So one of the things that, and you had just mentioned, for people, it's like, we talk about the estate plan all the time on the show, but your estate plan, it's real. We just had this, I've had this conversation several times in the last couple of weeks where I'm like, okay, they're like, yeah, we haven't done it yet. We haven't done it. I'm 75 years old and we haven't done it. And I'm like, I know why you haven't done it, because it's hard. Because it's hard in your mind. It's hard in your mind. It feels like so. This is the time, like now, like this month. Like say, look, you got 3 weeks left in January. Start it. Start that. And then the other side of that is that if you've done it, but you did it 15 years ago or 10 years ago, look at it.
Right.
Like review it, because at the end of the day, we do estate plans so we don't have to deal with them. Right? We do them so we can put them away, right?
Well, and the other thing is you want to have, I know it's hard, right? Like the conversation is difficult to have for a lot of folks, sensitive to that. But at the same time, I'd say, but it's a lot easier to have a hard conversation now when there's no urgency to it than when the house is on fire, right? Then it's a different story, right? Then you're saying to yourself, all right, now we've got the emotion tied up in the fact that somebody's got some health issues and somebody's having some challenges. And so you're dealing with those things, and they're maybe not really fully equipped to deal with things and questions and answers and issues because they're so busy focused on whatever they have going on. So the opportunity to have this in kind of a controlled setting, out the door. Out the door. This is a much better conversation to have when you can just kind of have a chill conversation about it and move at your preferred pace.
Well, that's it, right? So it's the same thing as kind of this morning analogy, or in your case, the 11 p.m., when you start working, whatever. It's ridiculous. You know what? I'll believe it when I see it, right? Yeah. I want to see some video. I want to see something. Some
timestamps.
Yeah, I'm just going to knock down a couple of these things, right? I'm going to start writing and thinking right now. It's 11 p.m., Oh, no, you know what? I'm not going to have another scotch, honey. I'm good. I got to get some
work to do.
I got to get some work done.
Yeah.
I'm going to work till 1.
Put that away.
I'm going to work till 1, and then I'll see you later.
Yep.
I'm not watching Tombstone. I'm not watching any movies. I'm just working.
Get some work done.
So in the analogy, the morning analogy, like you said, if I start this now and I start this kind of early in the month of January, and it's the beginning of the year, there's less other stuff going on, right? There's less things, and because that's what happens. Like life gets in the way, and if I start something midday, I've already got a half a day of stuff that's already there, and it just shows up because you go into the office, the phone rings, somebody calls, you have to take care of something that you get an email like I have to react to this, I have to deal with this right now. If I start this now, then I can kind of go. I don't have to, and it's not like it has to be done by the end of the day.
Right.
In other words, it doesn't have to be done by even the end of January, right? It's just, but I'm moving in that direction.
Yeah, you're making progress on whatever that initiative is, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
and
yeah.
that's and again, because a lot of people operate that way. A lot of like service firms operate that way. Like, hey, listen, let's go, let's get going. I mean, we do it. Like, we call everybody up. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's get together. Let's get this thing
Start
started.
reviewing stuff.
Yeah. So January, February, that first quarter is really busy, and because we want it to be. We
Right.
want it. We make it busy.
Well, you and I have had this conversation on the show a million times. There were sort of these rhythms during the year of when work gets done, right? This is the beginning of one of them, right? It's kind of quiet. Holidays are over. People a little more focused. January, February. We get into March. Then depending on where you're at, it becomes, tax time's here, right? I got a couple of weeks ago. So this is sort of the beginning of the quarter where if you're going to get some stuff done, you got about 3 months to get it done, then you're going to flip into tax mode. And then tax mode's going to be over. You're going to get that done. And that's a priority because it's got to be a priority because it comes with the hard stop right on the 15th, right? So Uncle Sam.
There's that extension.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. But for the most part, Uncle Sam makes you make it a priority,
But
right?
if you owe money, the extension doesn't apply.
That's right. The extension applies, but the check's still going to get written,
Yeah.
right? So you still got to do that. So there's that piece of the puzzle. And then that's going to go away, and then there's a window of time, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, it's Memorial Day. Summer's here. I can stop thinking about work for 3 months, right? And then everybody tries to kind of wander off into vacation mode and all this.
This is why time goes by so fast.
So this is it, right?
Because I
thing
listen to you, right?
Yeah. Next thing you know, it's
Labor
July
Day.
4th weekend. That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But that's how it happens.
I know.
That's how it happens.
That's how life happens. And unfortunately, as you get older, you're like, wow, this goes faster than it used to.
Yeah. You're picking up a little momentum coming down that hill as you get to
it's all downhill
as
from
the
here.
numbers start to change a little bit. They move quicker on that odometer.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the, if you're going to take some advice from us, these are the things that if you're going to get started on it, let's get started on it right.
This is the perfect
right now,
time.
Right now.
Perfect
All right.
time.
Don't go away. We'll be right back on Money in the Law.
And we're back. My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group.
there's
John
stuff in here.
Drohan. John Drohan at Main Effort Financial. We're sitting here right now. Apparently, we're in a candy review. If you want a pack of hard candies, it's almost like there was a bus on the way to Foxwoods that stopped in here, so they could use the restroom. Is what this looks like.
This looks like this is
Hard Candy Central.
It came out of somebody's valise.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yep. First of the month, checks are in, right? Social Security checks hit the table.
Let's go.
Let's get to Foxwoods.
It's cold,
Let's
right?
get to
It's cold.
Foxwoods. Yep,
The heat's
yep.
on. The heat's on in Mohegan Sun.
Let's get down there. Let's get down there. Yep, yep.
The heat's always on at the sun.
That's right. That's right. Come on down.
This is an emergency trip to the dentist. We're looking at, for those of you who can't see on the radio, these are old-fashioned hard candies, right? And
left
and
here
I
on
think it's trademarked.
left here on the board, right? Which is usually like don't put anything on the board, right?
Yeah, go chew some gravel.
But if you
And,
want
yeah,
to put something
it'll
like
be
that
good.
on there, yep. Good
It's
luck
old-
to you.
old
Good
fa-
luck to you. Yep. Old timey candy.
And all your favorite flavors, all those yummy flavors that everybody loves still, cinnamon, green apple, and peppermint.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean the ones that
who
you
eats
race
that?
for. Yeah, the ones you race for. Yep. I mean, somebody gave me that at Halloween. I'd egg their house.
Exactly, right. Listen, I'm gonna leave this toilet paper in your mailbox. Yeah,
Yep.
that's fine.
Do you want a nice green apple hard candy? Does
Thanks
that
for
make
the
you feel
green
better?
apple.
That make
Yeah.
you feel better?
Yeah. No. I'd rather take the green apple over that Snickers. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd rather
gross.
I'd rather go on with this raging sore throat here that I have. Yep, that's right. Unbelievable.
Green apple.
Here we go.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's stuck in my teeth.
Yeah, that's right. The
to
dentist
keep it with me the
dentist
rest of
left
the
them
day.
here. The dentist left them here. One of the you talk about kind of like this is a good time to get some stuff done. I'm always reminded at this time of the year if you're in the mindset that this is a time to start reviewing stuff, the one thing that is absolutely going to find you is your insurance coverages.
Oh, right.
Because you're getting all your renewal paperwork, and it's easy to look. It's easy to not open those things and be like, yeah, whatever. That's whatever.
Oh,
and
it's so easy.
It's kind of on autopilot, and then you open them and you say to yourself, oh, that premium seems a little bit higher than the last time I reviewed.
Weird.
Right? So this is, if you're gonna start to like in the spirit of kind of organizing your house, if you're going to organize your house, this is one of the things that definitely needs some attention.
And I'll tell you, and again, we talk about the insurance industry, like
With
all the
nothing but love.
And I'll tell you what, those people know what they're doing. They know it. When they say, okay, we're going to send you this right after Christmas, and we're going to just put right here, this is how much it costs, and just, pay it, within 30, just
You're already on auto pay, no changes needed.
A regular plain envelope looks like everything else, right?
Yep.
Looks like Andy, all the
changes
other 30
necessary.
pieces of mail, just get that, and you look at it, and there's no alarming language in it. Just this is how much it costs, and this is your insurance. Just renew, sign, easy peasy. Nothing for you to do.
You don't even sign anything.
No.
All of a sudden,
there's nothing for you to do.
Here's your new premiums, right?
Nothing for you to, because we're on automatic, so you're going to pay. It's nothing for you to do other than just get your insurance premiums raised.
Just take this piece of paper and notice it sometime around March 11th.
Or don't notice it, which is better for us because then we're out of sight, out of mind, and we get paid. You don't make any, as long as you don't make any claims. I mean, then you're
as long as you make no claims,
you're fantastic.
And as long as you don't ask any questions, right? Why did my premium double? I haven't had any claims. My claims history doesn't tell. I'm not sure who is this.
Let me see if I can connect you to somebody.
Let me put you on hold and somebody in this customer service department. It's wild. It's wild.
It's wild. It's wild, but it's a science. It's a science, and they know exactly. They know the human nature. They know how it works, and nothing. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's smart. It's smart business. As opposed to kind of creating some sort of creating alarm when it doesn't necessarily have to be alarmed, right? And then
look, and if you're overall very happy with your coverages and you're very happy with your agent and everything's fine, then this is a no-brainer, right? What keeps a lot of people from changing their mind is that they kind of create this stickiness situation where, to your point, they get you in the auto pay. Everything is designed around making no waves, right? No, this is
make it easy.
We just want the renewal of these policies to just be as painless and as seamless as we possibly can, and we are not looking to make it. You'll get whatever notices you're supposed to get. But that's it. That's all you're going to get.
In a lot of ways, though, we've kind of evolved with that, and kind of technology's kind of carried us into this where, and I'm the first to be like, if it's not easy, I'm not doing it.
I know.
If it's not easy for me, if I have to think about this, or I have to do something, or I have to call somebody, or I have to go online and do some kind of online form in order to kind of sustain this.
Not only online forms, but you're going to come up with some money.
Yeah.
If you want to change your insurance carrier, your new carrier is going to say, well, for us to bind your coverage, you're going to write us a check for $500, let's say. I'm going to make up $500. So you're going to give them the $500 to come with this new carrier that might have a reduced premium, but you're going to wait for the money on the other end because you're closing out your other policy that you may have already paid in full for. So you're going to kind of arbitrage that thing, and you're going to kind of float the dough. And a lot of folks will just say, you know what, I can't be bothered.
It's easier. The time it's going to take me is not going to be worth it.
That's right. My time is more valuable than me fudging around with these papers. I'm just not going to bother with it. But this is a really good time to at least review your coverages and just check and say, am I getting the most bang for my buck? Because you could be either getting a reduced premium or you could be getting more coverage for the same premium. It doesn't hurt to kind of farm these things out every once in a while.
Well, this is the thing, right? Just like we're talking about with your estate plan, there's some legwork involved, and if you got to do some legwork, do it now. Start it now. So when the insurance company sends you that form, take the 8 minutes that it's going to take. It's not that complicated,
no,
right?
That's right.
This is how much. Okay, this is how much my coverage for my house. This is how much coverage for my 3 cars, and yada yada yada. And that seems okay to me, right?
Yep.
And as long as I review it and I'm like, all right, this is how much it costs. It comes out of my bank automatically. It's $230 a month, and now it's $240. Okay, why? Because
sure.
A lot of people just accept it's kind of like the price of doing business.
Yep.
Everything's going to
inflation.
Right.
Sure.
So at that point, you can make a decision. You can say, do I call and say why, and you may get the answer, or do I just kind of accept it and take it for what it is? Now, if it goes from $250 to $350, that's worth a call, right?
Yep.
And maybe that's kind of what you do, but do that now.
Just be aware. To your point, I'm not saying that you're going to move heaven and earth on this thing. Just be aware that my premiums are, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to wake up a couple of years from now and be like, wait a minute, it was $250 5 years ago, now it's $800, and I have no idea why. And then you call them and they say, oh, we could farm that out. And then they look around and they kind of run the quote again. And they come back and they go, yeah, we found you same policy. It's $350.
Yeah.
And then you're out of pocket a couple of bucks every year for a couple of years. You're not getting that money back. You're not going to get that money
No.
back. And you want to make sure, by the way, that they know. Like sometimes I'll pick on the mortgage industry. Sometimes the mortgage industry will say, well, we never got the paperwork from your insurance company, so we assumed that you didn't have coverage, so we went out and bought coverage for you.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why your escrow, for all of you who are getting new updated escrow statements in the mail, because your property taxes went up, this is all part of that, right? So if you're getting these bills that say something's gone up, and to your point, $5, $10, again, I'm not saying be cavalier about it, but that's something that without doing a lot of investigation, you can figure out that probably seems
Right.
reasonable. But then there's all these other ones that you're like, hold on, this seems a little off. What's the story here? That's a big deal.
Yeah. So take a look, right? So anyway, back to the kind of, we're kicking things off. We want to kind of start the year off on the right foot. There's a handful of things that are a little bit harder than other things, right?
Sure.
That may take a little bit, and first and foremost, because this is money in the law,
Yep.
like, right? It gets equal billing, right? Even
Yep.
though when you think about it, right? When you say money in the law, what's your feeling?
It's
Your
50-50.
initial-
50-50.
Is it?
It's 50-50.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be, I guess, if you met Jay, right? But if Jay's like not in the picture, and you just say money in the law, you're like, law.
I know. Nobody knows it. I know.
I don't know. But then you get this guy who makes the law fun, right? Right? The law's fun.
Oh, it's magical.
It's good.
It's magical.
I don't know about magic, but it's you know what? It's better than what you thought it
Sure.
was.
That's right. That's right.
So-
The meeting is better than you thought it was going to be.
Exactly. You know what? I feel
That happened
pretty good.
We had a meeting yesterday. I come out of the meeting and somebody in the back office says, there's a lot of fun going on. I hear a lot of laughter in there.
Yeah.
How much work are you guys
Yeah.
getting done? I'm like, that's how we
You know
do
what?
it. That's how we do it. That's
I'm-
right.
Like I always say, my job is to make people happy,
Yep.
right? Yep. And
That's it.
And if I make you happy by giving you a great estate plan, there you go. You've
And
done
we can
your
have a
job.
couple of laughs along the way. Be lighthearted about it. Sure, why not? Yep.
All right, so I like the idea of kind of the estate plan review right now. Like
Sure.
I like
Yeah.
the idea of, and if you haven't done it, let's get it started. Like let's get the ball rolling. And again, depending upon where you are in your in what stage you are in your life,
Sure.
your estate plan is going to have some different kind of priorities, right? And we've talked about. If it's a young family, we just had our second child, and we really haven't kind of, thought this through just yet.
Yep.
I mean, we have life insurance, and maybe we have a will,
Sure.
but, it was a will that we did like before we got married, or when we got married, or, something along, and, since then we've acquired some property, but most importantly, we've had children,
Yeah.
right? So this becomes like we always say this is the priority is kind of who's going to be the guardian of your children in the highly, highly unlikely event that something happens to the both of you.
Well, and your plan may account for additions to the team. We tell people all the time, right? People call us up, exactly what you just said. Hey, we had a kid last year, we had a kid recently, and we need to change our estate plan. And the answer is, well, let's see. If it was written correctly, which we try to do all the time, you don't have to update your plan because your plan accounts for additions downstream. But that's the question that we always ask: are we still keeping the same players? Right?
Yeah.
Because you just spent Christmas and Thanksgiving and the whole holiday season with your family. You may have taken notice.
Time to make some changes.
You may have taken notice
And
that
make some updates.
that your sister or your brother-in-law are not the
Foursomes
parental
are going to get changed a little bit. Yeah,
the parental rock of Gibraltar that you thought they were, and it might be time to make a change. This could be it. This could be the
You're going to
discussion.
be going in the other cart. Just you know what? It's probably better for all of us. You guys, why don't
You guys are
play-
going to take separate
play the
cars.
poll?
It's all
Right,
good.
exactly,
It's all good.
exactly.
That's a possibility. So this would be a good time to review something like that.
Well, right, and that's the for that stage of life, that's the priority.
Yes.
that far and away, that's the priority, and right for all the right reasons. And I was going to say, when you add in for additional humans that kind of join, I mean. Do you put a cap on that? Is there, because I would think it would depend kind of and again, not to be, if you have the Irish Catholic family that comes, hey, listen.
That could be a long song sheet. That's right.
Right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
It says go to additional form or additional
See
seats if
asterisk.
you need- Exactly.
Yeah, additions.
Exactly.
And you just keep adding.
You got room.
Like the old family Bible. They just keep writing the names in there. Just keep writing it in there. Keep writing it in
Or
there.
do you coach them up? Or do you say, listen, okay, we're going to give you room for 3 more. All right?
that's
Three.
it.
If you're going to go, just give me a call maybe 3 is a lot, and we could talk about 3 costs a lot, and I get it.
I love the energy. I love the energy. I love the energy. Yep.
And I get that. And how many times have you met these guys? I mean, in your world, you must have met them 100 times,
Oh, my
right?
God.
Where you have like the guy who's got 4 daughters and a son.
Yep.
5 daughters and a son.
Yep.
6. Like, what's going on here? I know exactly what's going
I know
on.
exactly what's happening. Let me guess. Let me get on the order. Look, we start with the youngest first. I know who the youngest is. I know got it. I got
I know
it.
the youngest is Junior.
Yep. Keep going, Tiger. I got you. I got you.
Youngest is
Yep.
Junior. And then
come hell or high water. Yep. We're making this
And
happen.
then I have 5 daughters. All name starts with E. Whatever.
Right. Yep. That's right. All named after the nuns I had in high school. That's right. Exactly right.
Nice,
Yep.
nice.
Ruth, Eileen, Margaret. Also goes by Peggy, of course. Right. Yep.
St. Ruth. St. Ruth is she's like kind of the Old Testament, New Testament. She's like right. She's in the book, right?
Yeah, that comes around. That comes back into vogue. You don't see it a lot these days. Yep. So that's what you're working on. So you're updating, and by the way, here's the other thing you're updating. You're updating, and we have really pushed this narrative a lot more at the office than we had in the past, which was before we kind of took this whole you'll do the job, you'll be each other's healthcare proxy until you can't be each other's healthcare proxy and power of attorney, but that we'll know when that's time for that, right? Now we're much more proactive about saying, look, at some point, take the job away from each other, if you can do this, if we have the dynamics to make it work, and give the job to the kids, right? At some point at 87, you're probably not up to the task. You may not be, I hope you are, but you may not be up to the task of being your significant other's healthcare proxy and power of attorney. You may have your own health issues that make you acting in that capacity very difficult, and you may have your own cognitive issues, for example, that make it very difficult for you to be somebody else's power of attorney. Or you just might say at some point, like, I'm just giving up the job.
Yeah.
Like, I've been steering this ship for 87 years, and I'd like to move into the back seat, and I'd like to have somebody else run this thing.
Someone else can drive.
And that's exactly what you might want to. And so if that's kind of your mindset, then this is the time to have a conversation about that, about saying, look, we're going to step away from that responsibility. Yes, of course, mom and dad are going to be part of that conversation. But when it comes to signing the clipboard, we're going to put that responsibility on somebody else. And oh, by the way, on the finance side, can we agree that 2025 is a good year to consolidate some of these accounts that you've been getting mail on for these many years? And you're like, I keep getting this little dividend check for $11. It's that computer share company. And I probably should do something with. I've been talking to John about this is the year to clean that up a little bit. Please do that.
Well, you think about it, right? You think about how you're at this stage where it's like, look, I want things to be easy. I want things to be easier. I want things to be simple. And again, no matter where you are, you want it to be. And when we talk about like kind of up, Jay and I are throwing all these things out. And if you're listening, it probably sounds like a lot, right? You're like, okay, right. He said healthcare proxy, have guardianship for my kids, and this is the point. When you go and talk to your estate planning attorney, they're going to make this easy for you. They're going to make this a lot less hard than you think it's going to be.
Oh yeah.
And so where it feels like, oh, there's like 11 things that I have to deal with, and you kind of get stuck on it because you don't know about it, or you're kind of ignorant of it. They're going to be like, no, this is easy. Like, trust me, this is how this is. It's not hard for you to name. To change your brother to your brother to your sister to be the guardian of your kids.
Sure.
Just like this. This is how you do it. And you know what? It doesn't have to be a big deal with them. You can say, look, just so you know, you don't even have to tell your brother. Tell your sister. Like the new guardian. Say, listen, this is what we're going to do.
We're changing our plan.
And you know what? Most likely we're doing this so we don't have to do it, right? We're doing this. The intent is that we're not going to put this into effect. However, like we said, in the highly unlikely event that we need to, it's there. Just so you know. So keep that in the back of your mind. And then, you can also check in with them and be like, hey, you good with this?
Right.
Because that's important as well. And, if they're, 99 out of 100 times, they're going to be like, of course I am, and if they're not, then that's good to know.
Well, if they're not, that's absolutely great to know.
Yeah,
like, the last thing you want to do is drop a guardianship on somebody who's like, I don't want this job.
Yeah.
And especially if the kids are, especially if the kids are older.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how about, something happens and the niece and the kids are like, oh, we're going to go live with Uncle John? That's fantastic. And Uncle John's like, hold on, I didn't invite you in. I didn't invite you in. Stay on the porch.
Yeah.
Stay on the porch. You're not coming in here. I get a whole thing mapped out, and guess who's not in it? You two,
Yeah.
right? So
the 16-year-old triplets.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, not part of my plan. Not part of my plan, right? You're ready to pull the
Tom,
trigger.
Ken, and Jay.
You got your pension paperwork sitting in an envelope on top of the fridge. All you got to do is decide when you're bringing it down to the office. And
Who's driving me to practice today?
knock. Who shows up? You're like, that was not in my game plan.
Tommy doesn't have
Yep.
his license yet.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Yep.
doesn't. He failed it twice. He's going to be fine.
Yeah,
He's
he'll
gonna
get it back eventually. But that's not happening. That's not happening, right? So you want to be, you're exactly right. You want to be in front of that. We want to know that sooner rather than later. And you want to have that conversation, have a discussion, and say, "Look, this is what we decided. Things have taken a turn, and we need to do something different."
So that's the easy estate plan, right? That's the relative. That's the easy one.
Piece of
That's
cake stuff. Yeah.
That's the easy one because again, we're also dealing. We have a lot more, in practice, we have a lot more time, or most of the time, we're going to have more time. So it's that kind of the other end, right? The other side of this. So like the older, like if my kids are out of the house, I'm retired, and let's say I haven't done my estate plan, which at that point you're like, well, okay, it's really time,
right?
But or maybe I've done it, but it needs to be updated.
Well, here's the big thing. The big thing is every year we talk to clients and they say, you know what, I'm not ready for the putting some asset, doesn't matter what it is, into the irrevocable trust. No, I'm not ready for it. Just not there yet, but that's fine. Okay, well, another year has gone by, right? Old Lang Syne, we sang it all night. Now you got to make a decision.
You sang it.
Oh yeah, all night. Yeah, on repeat. Yep. Yeah. But now you got to decide. This could be one of those things. We've been putting off this decision. It's the first of the year. It's 2025. If we start the thing now, in 5 years, in 2030, the asset will be protected. If we ever get sick, if somebody goes to a nursing home. So if you've been putting off that decision, this is potentially a time to sit down and say to yourself, all right, what are we going to do? Is this the year? Is this the year? I'm not saying it has to be right now.
No.
I just say, is this the year?
You can decide, and the decision could be, I'm not ready to do it yet.
Yeah,
right.
That's
the
right.
decision could be not right now.
And that's a decision.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And the decision could be, hey, again, when we talk about putting assets into an irrevocable trust, it's kind of like you're giving it away, right? It's money or asset or property, whatever it is, that you're not necessarily, it's not going to, technically, legally, it's not going to really be yours anymore.
Right.
It's going to belong to the trust. Now, if it's a house, if it's the house that you live in, of course you're going to still get, and we always say, you get to live there, you get to pay all the bills.
Oh, yeah.
You get to clean it when I come over. You get to clean it when I leave, when we come up and visit. You get
all
to,
the benefits of living there and all the burdens of living there.
You'll get to continue to do you get to make sure the driveway gets plowed. And
Yard work.
Don't worry, we will not take that responsibility away from you.
Yep.
However, technically the trust owns the house. You no longer own the house, but you get to live there for the rest of your life as long as you want and do whatever you want with it. Now, the thing about it is that once you kind of, you may not be in the position or ready to do that. And, the house, oftentimes when a house goes into an irrevocable trust, it's time. And you've had this conversation 1,000 times where we say, look, do you see yourself kind of ever, in the foreseeable future, do you see yourself leaving this house? And people be like, well, we don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we won't.
Well, it's leaving the house, or do you ever see yourself needing the money the house would turn into?
True that.
Those are the two. Those are the two right there, right? Yep. And then that guides the conversation.
Yeah, and so you may say, you know what, and if I can no longer live here, do I want to keep this property? Do I want to keep it? And that's the whole reason why you put anything into a irrevocable trust is if you get into a situation where you have to pay for assisted living or you have to pay for Medicare, for Medicaid, for nursing home,
sure,
and you're going to apply for Medicaid, you don't want to have that property considered as part of your estate. Well, if you ever get to the Medicaid application.
Well, that's right. And then there's a handful of newly retired folks, right, who right now have had some of these conversations with themselves, and they woke up today to a feels like 4 degrees, New England morning, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of folks who are saying, are we doing this? Is this part of our plan? Do we have a different plan? And how does that possible change to what we've talked about affect some of the other things we're doing, like this conversation, right? Well, what if we don't want to be here? What if we want to be someplace warmer than here, right? Feels like 50 instead of 4, right? What are we doing? Is that something that's part of what we're talking about? And what do we need to do to make that happen?
Yeah, and so these are kind of the conversations that you have, like when you're talking about your estate plan, when you're reviewing your estate plan, because we have clients will say to me, and I'm sure it happens to you as well. They'll be like, oh, you know what, my mother had to go into assisted living and had to go into a nursing home, and it drained all of her money. We're really concerned about that. So you know what, we absolutely want to put our house into an irrevocable trust, and then I'll say, okay. Or they want to put money into it. They want to.
Sure.
I want to put this my 401k into it because I don't want to give that away. I don't want to. And you're like, well, okay, you're 67 years old, which. Don't get me wrong. I used to think that was really old. I used to think you were old, right? Yeah, like in the old days, wow, 67.
Yeah.
Not much longer.
Now you're 5 iron away.
Now I'm like, wow,
yeah.
you're a young retiree.
So spry.
Look at you go.
Yep.
Why are you retiring?
Yep.
You got 3 more years to go till you get to 70.
Full Social Security.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So now you have these people are like, well, I'm 67. You're like, look, you might need this. You might, like Jay said, you may be like, look, we don't want to live here anymore. All our kids move somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And if my house is in an irrevocable trust, I get to keep my house in Vermont. But you know what? I may not want to be here.
But you know what? And I completely agree with you. But this is not even, and this is how we kind of frame it at the office, this is not even an estate planning conversation. We tell everybody, this is a lifestyle conversation, right?
Right.
This conversation is a lifestyle conversation. I can't tell you how many times, and by the way, you're going to need something to talk about in the next bunch of weeks, because football is going to be over pretty soon. So you're not going to have a lot to talk about, right? Until March Madness starts. So there's a window here for these conversations to take place. But this is a lifestyle conversation. I have this exact conversation with my wife on the regular. We don't talk about our estate plan.
We don't
bust out the revocable trust
look
and
what
go
I
through
did.
it page by page, right? We don't discuss the spendthrift clause, with any degree of precision. But here's what we do talk about. We do talk about, is this house still the right house for us, right? Is this where we're going to kind of close it out, right? Because if it's not, then what does that mean, right? Now, then there might be some discussion around, if we're trying to protect some assets, are we going to protect this asset or another asset?
Sure.
But I say it that way because it takes away, we started this whole conversation off about saying how these are difficult things to talk about, right? These are just lifestyle discussions, right? And your financial plan and your financial preparedness will drive some portion of that conversation. And your estate planning preparedness factors in and will drive some part of this conversation. But I say it because it's a lot easier to talk about, are we staying here? Are we moving somewhere? Are we moving to be closer to grandkids? Are we going someplace warm? Are we going someplace north? Are we going someplace south? Are we going to travel? That's a much better conversation to have than what you just mentioned. Let's break out our estate plan so we can talk about what happens when we die.
And how many times do we say when we talk about these and we ask these questions, is the answer I don't know, right?
All the time.
All the time, right? So if the answer is I don't know, then good. Then I don't know is an answer. And I don't know is an answer that can apply to your estate plan. It can apply to your financial plan. You could say, are you going to stay in this house? Do you think you and Kim are going to stay in that house and it'll be your last your last final resting home? And if the answer is I don't know, okay, then you know what? You know what we don't do? We don't put it into an irrevocable trust.
No.
We don't necessarily say, okay, everything's going to kind of build around this house, because if the answer is I don't know, then we maintain our flexibility. We stay financially flexible,
right,
and we stay legally flexible in the sense that, so when we do know, because now we're talking about it, right? And so this means that at some point we're going to have to make a decision.
Well, at some point you're going to have to make a decision, but also at some point you're going to have more information to make that decision, right? At some point, something is going to change, right? Because what you don't want to do is, you don't want to sell your house to move out to Seattle to be with your kid, because your kid's out there and you don't think it through when you say to yourself, well, the only reason our kids out here is because either they're going to grad school out here or they get a job at Microsoft, which they hate.
Yeah.
And so we close on our new place and they're literally shutting it down, moving to Texas. And you're like, but we just followed you across the country, right? So you're going to have more information. Your kids are going to be at a different place in their life, and they're, you know, they might have been footloose and fancy free while they were young and either single or didn't have any kids, but then all of a sudden if they decide, look, we're going to start our family, and so we need to kind of put down some roots, that will drive where some of these conversations go. So the answer is, the I don't know answer, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. All it means is you probably just need more
helps you
information,
plan.
and that information is going to find you. Those details around what you think and how you kind of customize what you're going to do is going to find you, or you're going to decide differently. You're going to say, look, you know what? We're not going to Seattle. All of our friends are here. All of our doctors are here. Our entire social network is here. We're not going. But we are going to get out there a hell of a lot,
Yeah.
and we're just going to build that into our financial plan so we can make that happen. But no, we're staying here. These things will kind of, you know, not solve themselves, but you'll have more information to decide.
Well, what you're doing on the other end is you're building your plan around it. You're constructing your plan so that you can make that decision. So you don't paint yourself into a corner financially or legally, in a sense that we're like, oh well, you know what, we sold our house, so hey, we can't necessarily, you know, follow you down to Texas now because. Right. Financially, we won't be able to do it because whatever, the housing market's different in Seattle than we thought it was going to be, or whatever the reason. So, if you can maintain your plan, so you are able to kind of react to things when you do know, when you do have more information,
more clarity,
when you can make those, it's easier for you to make those decisions. Then that's what you do. And you know what? When you're building that plan, you talk about it and you say, okay, look. We're not putting any property into an irrevocable trust right now. So we know, just so we say it out loud, the risk is if Dad goes into a nursing home tomorrow, then this is good. Then this is how this is going to be affected, right? This is how that's going to affect our plan because everything's going to be on the table.
Yep.
And we say that, and we say, okay, are we willing to assume that risk? And this is all part of kind of the risk reward and risk analysis. Are we going to assume, or does that risk seem like as close to, as viable as if it would be if 20 years from now?
Well, who knows? You could be sitting here a year from now and you say, you know what? We just got some bad news. We just got a diagnosis.
You don't
right?
know.
That changes all of those decisions that we were going to make before, and all the variables are different. And before we were really worried about, you know, giving them a control and blah, 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 blah. And now all of a sudden, because this has happened, now we're definitely worried about those things, but this is looming larger, right?
Yeah,
this is the kind of things
so
that we're
that
going to deal with.
gets built into that part of that contingency, whether it be likely or unlikely, gets kind of talked about and discussed part of the plan. So, and we always say, we say like, look, worst case scenario. We talk when we talk about like investing, right?
Yeah.
We say worst case scenario, market falls off the table tomorrow, 50% drop. Guess what? Your account's going to go down, but this is how we build it. We build it where there's a safety net in it, where in the sense that, okay, if my account just dropped 50%, but I need money, I need to take money out of it, there's going to be money in there, there's going to be a portion of that didn't drop 50%.
Right.
I don't have to sell my Apple stock that just got cut in half in order to accomplish something.
I got a fixed income position for liquidity, and I can pull from that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's other things, and the same thing with your estate plan. So look, if we get some really horrible news, we'll be able to adjust to it. It's going to change things,
Sure.
and we're accepting that risk. Because that's the thing is that in the insurance world, I can buy insurance for everything. I can buy long-term care insurance, life insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance. All it's like some of this you need it, but at the end of the day, do you need $10 million in life insurance? If the purpose of your life insurance is to replace your income, do you make $1 million a year?
Well, you might have needed $10 million insurance in 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both staring at 60 out there, and I'm sure that at some point,
see nothing.
I got a ton of friends that bought term policies in their 40s when their kids were super little because they needed to create an instant estate. All of those term policies are going to go bye-bye in a couple of years.
It's great
right?
when it happens.
And then the question is, okay, and they're going to come to me and they're going to say, well, do I need this term policy anymore? And I'm going to say, no, what you probably need is long-term care insurance, right? You're transitioning the risk. The risk isn't you passing away anymore. The risk is this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let's talk about that.
This is where you're a liability right
That's
now.
right,
Yeah.
that's right. But this is the idea. The idea is that this is what this time of the year is for. This is the time of the year to talk about all the stuff that you've been meaning to talk about that you never get around to, and you have the time. We're all hunkered down under blankets watching Netflix for 15 hours a day until till spring comes around. So have these conversations now.
I'm having this mental picture of that's exactly what you're doing, like on Mars. Everybody got blankets.
Everyone's under a blanket.
Yeah,
that's right. Watching
like
TV.
A bunch of, right.
That's right.
A bunch of like
wake,
monks in there.
Wake me
right?
up. Wake me up. Patriots Day. That's right. That's right.
Is there football on right now? Yeah, let's watch a game. Yeah.
No football, kids. Let's gather around. Let's talk about
Big
our state
football
plan.
weekend this week. This is the best football weekend.
It
Wild
is.
card weekend.
A lot going on. A lot going on.
All right, I think we need to wrap it up.
I think we're good.
It's game
I think
time.
we're good.
All right, so what we've learned today, like Jay said, just now's the time to start. Now's the time to start. Like, you know what? Let's. It's the morning.
We're not
just got up.
It's not resolutions. It's just about getting organized.
Yeah, let's get the ball rolling.
Yep.
Get the ball rolling. Don't be afraid. And I promise you, it won't be as hard as you think it's going to be. That I promise.
Just put
anything you do.
Just put one box away. That's it.
One box.
That's
yep.
it. Just start the process.
Just one step.
That's
one step forward.
That's
There you
right.
go. All
That's right.
All right. We'll see everybody next time on Money Law, My FM 101.3. Tommy, we'll see you next time.
Have a great week.
All right. We'll see you.
All right. Take care.